You're listening to Inside the Minds podcast with Dante, Marsh, and Ryan Heid, where we talk about sports, life, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about.
31-yard penalty to support pass interference call against the Lions this year. County out of the hands, and there's Dante Marsh with the block, and it's going to be a pick six for the veteran. 29th career interception, almost on cue. 80-yard return for the 10-year veteran.
Tonight's guest on Inside the Minds podcast won the 2019 Vanier Cup with the Calgary Dinos and was the 38th overall selection in this year's CFL Draft by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Welcome to the show, Logan Bandy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Indeed, absolutely.
Thanks for coming on tonight, Logan. So talk to us a bit. I guess we might as well start back from the beginning. Talk to us a bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised here in Calgary. I was actually a hockey player growing up. As soon as I could start walking, I was skating. So it's something I always had a passion for, and I eventually got into football because I was such a big kid, and then it kind of took off. I played all my minor football here in Calgary and at the legendary St. Francis High School here, and decided to stay at the U of C. So kind of born and raised kid, and lucky enough to get drafted by Saskatchewan in this year's CFL Draft. So
nice. So being from Canada, how much exposure did you have playing football? Because I know hockey is the big deal out there. So how was like Little League for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different here, and I kind of got a taste of what it's like down in the States, because I played Team Alberta and I played for Team Canada as well. So I played down in Texas and down in Florida and stuff. So it's a bit of a different culture here versus down there. And, we're just as passionate up here. It's just maybe not, there's maybe not as many people that are so passionate about football here. So we're starting to see a lot more great players come out of, the Canadian youth systems, but there's good football here. And at the end of the day, my youth football experience was really good, and it set me up for where I am now. So
nice. Was that a preference? I know you probably want to be a Stampeder, huh?
I came in as a fan of the league, not really with any preference. So I'm just super happy that Saskatchewan gave me the opportunity. So
absolutely. They're crazy about their football in Regina.
They are, yeah. That's the one thing, is I'm going to the best fans in Canada for sure. Not even close. So, I can't wait for that.
So Logan, you lost a season, actually probably 2 seasons, due to the pandemic. As an athlete, how did that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, it's super tough when it gets announced and it kind of sets in that everything's canceled. So, kind of that first couple months, it still kind of feels unreal, and you just kind of get over it. And, once time started to get on, I realized that it's about the mindset and the way you approach things. So I was able to go and get healthy and get the surgery that I needed to get my body feeling right. And I mean, this is the healthiest that I've been, since I started playing football. So really for me, it was about, adopting a growth mindset and approaching it with a positive attitude, and look where it got me now. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the pandemic started this podcast. I've gone through and tried to stay positive and do a bunch of personal growth and just continue on, just using it as a jumping board to keep going in life. And here we are, and just continuing to grow and and getting better, right? So
Yeah, I mean, like that's one of the great things about sports, man, is that even for fans, like it kind of teaches you that mindset, right? Like prepare for anything. Like if life throws you on your head, then you got to be able to dig yourself out, right? So I really actually credit football for a lot of the mindsets and attitudes and stuff that it's set me up for and helped me through the last year and a half. So. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think football is a great tool, a great vehicle. For me personally, I know all the success that I had, I can attribute that to playing the game of football. It teaches you how to deal with adversity. It correlates so well with real life. That's why I think it's the best game on the planet. But yeah, I mean, you guys as a team, I know being with your quote unquote brothers and all coming together for one common goal, and that's to win games and ultimately championships. And you form those bonds and you go through camp, training camp, and the ebbs and flow of a season. So it's definitely a precursor for like.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's always that makes me think of the saying, like the football locker room is like the most diverse place on the planet, and you get people from all different backgrounds and life and everything, and you all work together. And I mean, once you go through a long season with the boys, it's you feel like you're prepared for anything in life, really. So I think it's super similar to how um, we learn, and super similar to going through tough experiences in real life. You go through that in a football season, and it really dealing with adversity and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure. I think over the whole COVID thing, athletes have been finding ways to make themselves better.
did you find it challenging to stay in game shape during the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, for the first little bit, especially like when those first lockdowns, came down, there was nothing, right? And nobody was prepared for it. So, nobody had home gyms ready. Nobody like nobody was really ready for that. And then things kind of eased off, and I've been lucky enough for the last, 5 or 6 months to have a personal trainer that's been willing to work me out through all the lockdowns and stuff like that, kind of under the table. So, obviously staying conscious of the current situation and sanitary, issues and stuff. But, I've been super lucky with the people that have been supporting me through all this, because, especially in the last like 6 months or so, some of the best training I've ever had in my life. So
COVID showed us, it revealed a lot of people's character. I'm a defensive coordinator at a junior college here in California, and we started with 70 some odd players, doing the Zoom meetings, because obviously we couldn't meet any longer during the start of this whole thing. So a lot of guys were in it for the first little bit, and then it dwindled down to maybe less than 20. But
yeah.
I mean, it sifts itself through, the fatter trim itself, so to speak. So you find out a lot about people when adversity hits.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just as easy to sit home and sit on the couch, right? Like it's at the end of the day, it's about your drive and if you want it or not. So, me personally, I go crazy if I sit there and do nothing. I have to go out for a run or, do some kind of home workout. So it really kind of sets apart those people from the ones who are used to having it given to them and everything set up for them. So really a defining moment for people's character in the last year or so.
Definitely. So what made you decide to choose football over hockey?
Yeah, I mean, being like a foot taller than all the other kids and at least 100 pounds heavier, I was never the best skater. I never got into a super high level of hockey, but almost immediately I kind of fell in love with football. And then once it, I think back in Bantam, so I would have been, 13 years old, I made the Calgary Selects football team that travels we went down to St. Louis that year and play all their all-star teams. And I think that's when I kind of realized like I could go somewhere with this, and started kind of focusing my attention towards football, and it was just the right fit for my body, and my body type, and I really fell in love with the game. So and the CFL played a huge role in that. We always had season tickets to the Stamps and always at the games and stuff. I've still never watched a Grey Cup live, surprisingly, but it played a huge role in me deciding to stick with football rather than hockey, which will always be my favorite sport. So
Fair enough.
Well, hopefully one day you'll be participating in one of those Grey Cups instead of watching it, right? So
that's the goal. At this point, we want to be participating in the Grey Cup before we're watching it.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
That's the dream.
Yeah. So how was your time with the University of Calgary?
Yeah, I mean, it was super interesting. I kind of came in as a pretty highly touted prospect, and in my first year, I had an opportunity to start at right tackle, and I actually lost the job to Tyler Packer, who went to the BC Lions in this year's draft.
Yeah.
And I ended up being the sixth guy, kind of the blocking tight end. Even lined up at wideout in the national semifinal against Laval. That didn't go over very well for me. I missed the motion in from Sinagra and completely missed my block, and then didn't see another snap that game. So that kind of summed up my time at wideout. But yeah, after that experience of missing out on the starting position, I worked my ass off in that 2017-2018 off season, and came back and won a starting spot at left tackle, and then I ended up having an all-star and first team all-Canadian season. So for me, it was kind of a big jump from being that sixth guy, and then I feel like the coaching staff at the U of C and the culture there really helped me boost my performance and my development, and you can just see it this year with the amount of guys that got drafted, how good that staff really is there, and they get guys prepared for the pro level. So yeah, super great experience at the U of C.
So you're a Calgary fan, right? In terms of football growing up, I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously, I was the Henry Burris, that era. I have a Labinjo jersey in my. You know what? I actually, this is an embarrassing one. I actually have a Calgary Stampeders Charleston Hughes jersey back. Yeah. So I can't be repping that one anymore. That one's hanging up in the closet. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we had season tickets for the Stamps my whole childhood. So
Hey Marsh, how many times did you pick off Burris in your career?
Ooh, lots. I want to say him, and I got 33 career interceptions. I think him and Ricky Ray, I picked off the most. Picked off Cavillo a few times too, but Ricky Ray, him, yeah, Hank and Ricky Ray. I think those are the two quarterbacks I got the most.
That's awesome. I mean, picking off Calvillo, I mean, that's a feat, right? I'm sure it didn't happen too often back in the day, but those are the ones I'd be keeping that ball if it was me.
Yeah, not many people get to say that.
No.
Because Ricky Ray would probably go down. I don't know. I played a long time, so he's probably one of the better quarterbacks that I played against while I was up there. Hank is legit too, man. And Hank was it was weird. He would either throw for 500 and 400 or 500 yards, or he'll throw 3 or 4 interceptions. It was like either or, but ultimate competitor, very strong arm, big ass hands for a quarterback. Like had all the confidence in the world in his arm strength. So he would try to throw shit in there. He didn't care, like But yeah, man, I played against some real good guys, and then obviously the head coach now is one of my former teammates, Dave Dickinson. So
yeah,
that's another guy you see him in practice every day, and it's like if you just look at Dave, you'd think he was like one of the trainers or something. You wouldn't think he played football, but he could get that ball out like before the receiver even can get out his break, man. Just a smooth cat. very smart, and he just knew where to place the ball. So I seen it every day in practice with Double D, obviously with Travis, Buck Pierce, Casey Printers, my guy. So on my own team, I had some pretty Jarius Jackson. I had some good quarterbacks on my own team. So in practice every day, it was pretty intense as well. So
it's pretty legit list of guys right there.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. So this will be your first year in the CFL. What are you most looking forward to?
I mean, the goal for me is to make the roster right now. I'm going into training camp, and I've been working my ass off, and I'm ready, and I really think I can go in there and give a good crack at making that team. So that's the number one goal for me, and I'm kind of taking it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and if the time comes that I make the team, then obviously it's you keep working on the next step and try and crack the starting roster, right? So for me it's really about trying to make as big of an impact as I can in my first year, and try and be that splash guy if I can.
Yeah, my advice would be to have a positive outlook and a positive energy about it. In order to succeed at this level of athletics, whether it's the MLB, NBA, NFL, CFL, etc., even the Olympic guys that compete, right? You have to be obsessed with trying to become successful, the best though. Like we was talking about that the other night with Zane, and when I tell people this, they have to understand, like everybody wants to play. Everybody thinks they have what it takes, right? The elite 1 percentile, 1 to 3 percentile that really make it and have a successful career are the guys that are constantly working and grinding. And the self-motivation. I know a lot of guys get to the pros, and once they finally crack the starting roster and they start to get a little bit of splash, they forget what led them to where they're currently at, and then they fall off, and then you never hear about them again. So I guess my advice would be just go in there, man, like a dog, and then every year to see it's easier to get there, it's harder to stick. That's the tricky part. So you gotta, year in and year out, you gotta be able to keep reinventing yourself and elevating, because they're bringing guys in. And I know for the American guys like myself, it was even more tough because we ain't getting saved by no ratio. They looking to replace the American guys. So, I would say just stay focused and continue to work your ass off. And once you get there, man, it just got to keep going like that.
Right. Yeah, you got to have that mindset. Like there's always someone chasing you, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of the same thing like at the UC, man. Like that's one of the big things that has kept me motivated through the 2019 season, when I kind of felt like the guy, is seeing these young kids coming in and see them and say, there's no way that guy takes my job, and you got to approach every practice like that and be the hardest worker, and that's where you get places. So
yeah, fall in love with the process. A lot of people don't understand that's where you create the success. And I tell some of my younger players and say, you don't become a all state, a all city, or all whatever, or all pro, Hall of Fame type guy, Pro Bowl type guy, all-star type guy on game day. You don't, a lot of people don't get it when I say that, but you don't get those accolades and create that legend on game day. That's in the summer. That's in the spring. That's in the off seasons when nobody's looking. When you don't want to do it and you're forcing yourself to do it. There's no cameras, there's no fans, there's nobody cheering you on, and you have to be about your business and keep your head down and grind. And that's that work, that process is what allows, what everybody else see in terms of the fans on game day. A lot of people don't know what goes into that Saturday night, that Friday night, that Thursday, or that Sunday. They don't understand that. They just see the team running out in the nice uniforms and putting on the show. But it's countless hours of preparation, and once you fall in love with the process, you'll be fine.
Yeah, like no, I completely agree. Like if you're putting in the work in the weight room, you start to love it a little bit. Like it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like it's at the point, man, where you sit on the couch for a day or two and then you start getting, like itchy and like, man, I need to go for a run. I need to do something, right? Like it's all about, becoming better every single day. So especially when nobody's looking.
Absolutely.
That's where I wish I had, like as a 42-year-old now, I wish I had my drive and my work ethic when I was younger, because I was one of those guys that didn't really do too much, just barely gave any effort. And I don't know, I got in my 40s. I looked at my stomach and thought, fuck, this has to change. And then I just started working out and I just started giving her. I fell, Logan, I had a construction accident. I fell 45 feet off a balcony back in 2001. I broke my femur. I collapsed a lung. I broke 7 ribs. I almost died 4 times. And I wish I was doing what I'm doing now before that had happened, because now I'm grinding through all those pains. And I'm just giving her everything I have, and it's just completely different, but I wish I'd had that work ethic way back then, because I didn't have it.
I mean, good on you, man, for developing that, right? Like, especially when people get into that, out of the prime age for athletes and working out and stuff, it can be kind of tough to pick up working out and lifting weights and going for runs and really taking care of yourself, right? So that shows a lot of initiative on your standpoint, that you're able to go out and make yourself better every day. So that's huge.
Thanks, man. And honestly, so I just started like lifting weights and working out, and it became a challenge to beat myself the previous day and beat myself again and beat myself again. It became a competition to a point like I just compete, with myself and just keep going, just don't stop. So
that's when it's the best, right? Like when you're going for PBs and you fail every once in a while, and then all I can think about is beating that PB the next week. Like, man, heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, whatever it is, faster time on the run. It's always about having the mindset that you can improve and get better, and if you really have that passion for it, it's it doesn't matter how old you are or whatever, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
you never stop getting better. And I played till I was 35, so I was up in age, but still, even at 42, I could play some games in the CFL right now. And I'm not just talking like it's crazy. If you don't use it, you lose it. So like people can't believe I'm my age. Like, no way, I thought you were like 29 or 30. I'm like, nah, I'm 42 years old. I don't look it. I don't move around that way, but age is a number, and it's in your mind. And if you ever notice, like some of the older guys, right before they retire, it's like that one year they have at maybe 33 or 34, like an all-star, all-pro year, and they start hearing he's getting long in the tooth, or fans are saying this, and they started believing that shit. So then that very next year, they just went from all-pro to they need to retire. Like it don't happen fast like that. It doesn't. So I think the mind is a very powerful instrument, and you got to know how to use it. And like I said, if you continue to train, like I love working out. That's the other thing too. A lot of athletes, they work out to participate in their respective sports. They don't really love working out. Not all athletes, right? So that's why you see some skill position guys, when they're done and they retire, they blow up, they get huge, because they're like, man, I'm not doing all that stuff no more, right? So his mindset, man, I think it's never too late. Just like Ryan getting back in school, as long as you have another day above ground, God has blessed you with another opportunity, you still can chase all the goals you ever wanted to achieve. I mean, you breathe.
It's all about that mindset for sure.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Logan, what were your expectations heading into the 2021 CFL Draft?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird year. Obviously, I haven't even strapped on the pad since 2019, right? So I stayed away from all the mock drafts and the media stuff, and as much as I could, and stay out of my own head. And I expected to go higher than I did, obviously, but at the end of the day, it was, who wanted to give me that opportunity, and the Riders did. So I'm just super happy with the way it went and where I'm going. And, Regina is going to be a great fit for me. So, yeah, so everything, it's a dream come true to play in this league. So I can't wait to get a shot at it.
Has the team given you any kind of time frame as to when things are going to get started, or?
I think I know about as much as you guys do, honestly. I think it's all kind of dependent on all the provincial health orders and the return to play, protocols, and hopefully we can get training camp going in early July is the plan. So, yeah, hopefully things move forward.
I think I'm hoping too. I need to get back up to Canada. But no, I don't know, man. My thoughts on this whole pandemic is something else. I don't know. I look at it a little bit differently, but I think the people need it. The venues need to get packed again. It's necessary, but not just for the emotional or mental state of human beings, but the economy. You definitely need to get people back out and get them involved. And there were a lot of jobs lost. People need the jobs back, and you need to inject some of that money. People need to get out and get back to what we quote unquote know as normal, and shop and do the things that we were once privy to do. So hopefully that goes well, and you guys could get because I seen a couple things, Ryan, on the Twitter feed about people being skeptical up there about the attendance for fans, but I'm like, man, it's time. If Alabama and them SEC schools can do it, I'm pretty sure the CFL can do it.
Yeah, same with the American Hockey Leagues too. Oh, sorry, the American NHL teams. The Islanders had what? I don't know how many fans were there, but it looked like a lot, and they were making a lot of noise, and I was jealous. So,
yeah, no, I heard. I mean, there's steps in the right direction. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but the Canadians are having 2,500 fans, and Canadians Leafs game 6. I think that's tomorrow night. So, I think it's just starting to come along a little bit, and as the vaccination rates hopefully keep going up, then people are gonna start being able to get back into the seats, and we'll have a great season. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the deal. A vaccination and people being able to get back to what we know as normalcy, right? I don't even think there's a correlation. Because if there was a 99% recovery rate from getting COVID, and that vaccinated people, is not even proven that it even works. Like, nobody can definitively say this does that, and this is what it's doing. You have to do multiple rounds of shots. It's still like an experiment, and then those companies aren't liable if something goes wrong. I have my own thoughts on that, but I think too many people are getting hung up on that. I don't think it makes a difference, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I guess I mean I kind of see it from a different standpoint. I'm actually a kinesiology major here at the UC, so I do a lot of study in the health industry and health and physical science and stuff. So I'm actually a big believer in the vaccine, and I know people are super scared of maybe the components of it and what it'll do long term, but at the end of the day, it's not much different from the processed food that we put in our body almost every day. So I got my first dose, and I'm still standing, and if the population eventually gets up to a higher vaccination rate, you're going to see less long-term conditions from COVID itself, and less transmission to the older populations who might be more at risk, right? So I think it's not as much about the athletes and the young people that are contracting it. It's more about the people that they're going home to and having dinner with, and the people that might be more at risk, right? So I think it's super important to have these kind of conversations to hear out different opinions on the vaccine, and nobody's really wrong, I would say. And I think the way that you shape your experiences you shape your opinion is through your experiences and knowledge, and you're entitled to that. So yeah, for sure.
No, I was just because I'm like, I got my master's in strength and conditioning, so I know it. I know a little bit about anatomy too. I just, for me, this is, and once again, it's my personal opinion. Who am I, right? But when this whole thing first started, training a bunch of young people outside parks, getting that good sunlight, drinking water, taking vitamins, staying active, I didn't have a sniffle. And instead of shutting down gyms and going into this panic mode with all this touchy-feely stuff, like I'm an inner city kid. So like I said, I grew up in the 80s and 90s and I know Ryan could attest to this, man, we drinking off the little dirty ass faucet in the backyard with that nasty ass water hose.
All day.
We're dropping food. Oh, 15-second rule, pick it up. Yeah. I'm eating sour grass, which in reality is dogs and animals pissing on the ground. I mean, so I don't, like I said, I think for me, my personal opinion and outlook on it, it was a beta test, a controlled thing. I mean, some people don't believe in, like, they're doing stuff right in front of people's face and people still don't want to recognize what's going on. But that's another opinion of mine. But I just feel like instead of promoting medicines and all the time and big pharma, why don't we start promoting healthier eating? I know here in the United States, we're the most unhealthy country on the planet. Obesity, this high blood pressure, is crazy because of what we consume, right? So why instead of promoting vaccines and flu shots and all these other little things that makes a lot of money for the big pharma companies, why don't we support or promote health and wellness more? People get more active. They take PE out of school. It's out of schools. It's not as prevalent as it was when I was in school. So just things of that nature, and that's just my personal opinion. But
no, I agree 100%, man. Like I kind of have the same background, and like, man, here I think it's in Alberta, they changed the curriculum for kids to have, no more physical education, and it has to be, 30 minutes of physical activity a day, but they're not learning how to run, how to play sports and stuff. They're just, go outside and do whatever, right? Like it's not structured. And I think that's really starting to show. And no, I'm a huge believer in, promoting healthy lifestyle. And it's the same reason why you still see cigarettes being sold at every gas station, man, is because they make so much money off of it, right? So no, I agree on that standpoint for sure.
Yeah, Logan, I've got my first vaccination and my girlfriend goes for hers tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's, getting the vaccine is going to open doors, and I think not getting vaccines is going to close some doors. But
yeah, I mean, there's the talk of possible vaccine passports, and I don't know the legality of turning people down at the doors and stuff if they don't have vaccines, but that could become a reality. Mm-hmm. And I know that'll be really tough for people who don't believe in it, but it might be the way that the world moves forward, unfortunately. So you obviously don't want to promote a culture of fear for the rest of our lives and always live in fear of this disease, but we got to find a way to move on somehow, right? And try and make it the best way possible where we lose the least amount of life. So I think the next coming months will be a huge indicator what happens here in Canada, and with the vaccinations ramping up, and we'll see if life kind of returns to normalcy.
Yeah. So Logan, how crazy was it for you to have to enter video footage for the virtual combine?
It was again, it was super weird year. I mean, we the one nice thing is we kind of tested everything a little bit spread out. Like you didn't have to, obviously combine day, I've heard from past teammates and stuff, you're at this little little sports center for 12 hours, and you'll run your shuttles, and then you'll have to wait 3 hours and then run a 40, right? So it was kind of nice to be able to do everything and do it at your own pace. And some of the numbers that came out of other places, I'm not going to name names, were a little suspect this year. And, I think there was a shuttle number that would have been, the fastest in NFL history that, the CFL counted as official. So stuff like that, super weird stuff. But, we were laser timed for our 40s. We were, measured out for everything. So at the end of the day, it really wasn't that bad. It was just, instead of doing it in person, we got to do it over a video. So really it was still, obviously missed out on the combine experience, but was still able to get that in, no problem.
I think this whole situation kind of helped some and didn't help some. Because there was way too many 4-3s. With the guys here with the NFL, there were way too many 4-3s. I personally believe, I don't think that was that accurate. And like I said, I think this was a beneficial time for a lot of people. I know for myself, I created multiple businesses. I was able to diversify things, and I had more actual time, because we talk about time being our biggest asset, right? So my main jobs as an adjunct professor at the junior college and working in the school district and coaching and stuff, we had to do things on Zoom, right? So that was like an hour or two of my time. So I had a lot more time to kind of venture off into other things, and I think it was definitely fruitful for me. But yeah, I think it's going to be some guys that were drafted, picked, made teams that they're not going to do so well, because I think they benefited from the current situation, and there's some guys that didn't benefit in that way that should have, that got knocked because of the lack of exposure, and no scouts really going to the school's campuses and not having that combine. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the film from the last couple of years before COVID hit kind of could be a bit of a teller. Like, I know for me, I was super confident in my film from 2018 and 2019. I started all the games at left tackle, and I think that film really played a huge role in me getting this opportunity. So, I don't think, playing, I mean, obviously playing this last season, I think would have boosted my draft stock, because I know, I've gotten stronger, I've gotten bigger, and I like to think, mentally stronger, mentally, more efficient on the line and stuff like that. So, but at the end of the day, I think, having that really solid base helped a lot of guys as well.
Indeed.
Logan, what can the Saskatchewan Roughriders expect from you?
Yeah, I'm a super versatile guy. Like, I'm super athletic. I'm super confident in my ability to, recover if I get in trouble, and great footwork, and I like to focus on, what to improve on. So I'm going to put the time in the film room, and I think that'll really show out on the field. So I just can't wait to get out there and compete. And I've been kind of sitting at home waiting for this opportunity now for the last little bit. So I can't wait to get going.
I bet. So how are you going to feel playing against your hometown Stamps for the first time?
That'll be that'll be the highlight for sure. I can't wait. I can't wait for my parents to wear green for the first time in their life too.
Yeah, they're going to have to now, aren't they?
Yeah. We have some neighbors too that have been lifelong Rider fans as well. So they've been kind of giving us a hard time over the last month or so, but I'm excited to see them in green.
Obviously, you're going to have probably a whole section of seats that you're going to need, or?
You know what? I think whenever the Riders come to McMahon, it's mostly Rider fans anyways. So I think we won't have any problem with that. Actually,
now that I think about it too, the one and only Stamps game I was at in Calgary, I went to go and actually see my mom, and ended up going to the game. I'm a big Mike Edom fan, as you can tell. So I dressed up in green and was one of those Rough Rider fans at that game. So I froze my ass off. It was in November. I tried to go inside to warm up. The building's all concrete. I froze my ass off. It was, yeah. I like going to games in BC better. So I'm not gonna lie, sorry,
in
man.
the dome, yeah.
In the dome, yeah.
I mean, McMahon has its charms. You know, it's a little rough on the edges, but you learn to love it a little bit. So,
Man, we had a lot of. I had some good games at McMahon.
it's a fun place to play.
I think Saskatchewan is unique too, and I know they have a new stadium and all that because I was old school Taylor Field, but I remember one year, it might have been maybe 08 or 09. They throw a hitch, and then I like strip the receiver, right? And me and Corey Banks, we run across the field, and I take the ball and I throw it in the stands. For about 5 minutes, we started getting hit with hella beer cans, like in cups and beer, and they was trying to pelt us. So they stopped the game, like the whole game, for like about 5 minutes to calm them down. But Saskatchewan they love their football, man. Because that's the only thing there. Like that's it. That's all they got. You know.
Marsh, I remember that beer can thing. Are you telling me you started that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't try to start it. Like, we having fun, man. We get a chance to kick their ass. We on their field, so we clowning around. So when I got to the sideline, I threw the ball into the stands. Like I used to do that every time I got an interception. I kicked the ball in the side. I do all type of shit. So anyway, one of the fans, they start throwing shit, like, and it was like, let's stop the game. They're like, we had to move from the sideline, the bench, and get like on the field, and then they had to come stop. Like, it was crazy. You know what? There's some places in Canada I didn't really like playing in Hamilton. The old field. Like I really didn't. I don't know. It's like old, and you know what I mean? Is the bathrooms were terrible. Were terrible. It was just old, and I know they got a new stadium too. But Calgary was cool. Saskatchewan was cool. I did get a chance to play in the newer Winnipeg stadium. That was pretty nice. But I still think BC is the best place in all of Canada because I'm a California dude. I'm a West Coast dude, and that was like right up the street. We in a nice dome, So it's definitely not a good place to play at in November. I played in Calgary one year, and I'll never forget Wally was like, well, I don't want to wear all white uniforms. I got my ass kicked when I was coaching Calgary. I let them wear all white uniforms, right? So we finally talked Wally into letting us wear these, our white on white, because BC would never do that, right? Man, we get out there, we got the shit beat out of us. And it was like something below zero in Calgary at McMahon. And I remember it was like, it was like a meaningless game. We was going to the playoffs, but it was like one of the last games towards the end of the season. I didn't want to tackle nobody. I didn't want to fall on the ground. It was like frozen. It was like just terrible. So I'm like, man, how do you play football in Canada in November outside?
Man, that's all I'm used to though. At this point, like I played all my minor football here in Calgary, right? So, and I've always been on winning teams, so we always play late into November. So, kind of used to it at this point, to be honest with you.
Man, I miss the Grey Cup right now. I'm just saying, like just the November atmosphere of Canadian football. I really miss it right now. It's crazy.
No, the Grey Cup, I mean, it's whatever. I played in 3 Grey Cups. So my first one in Ottawa was freezing cold. That was 2004. We lost to Toronto, Damon Allen and them. And then my first time winning the Grey Cup, we played in Winnipeg against Montreal. That was hella cold. And then my second Grey Cup, we hosted it in 2011. So that was like a home game. And we had a dome and started snowing in Vancouver at the time. But definitely, I personally believe that they need to rotate it between the places that have domes.
That takes the fun out of it, though. Are you kidding me?
Man, some stuff is just too cold, man. It's just too cold.
So, Logan, being from Calgary, I assume you're a Calgary Flames fan. Who is your favorite Calgary Flame player?
Man, like growing up or currently?
Like, yeah, all time, currently, whatever.
All time. I mean, that's an easy one. That's Joe McGinley, man. Like I grew up watching this guy. Childhood hero. To be honest with you, he played, you know, with the Flames since I was born to, 20 whenever he got traded, 2010 or 2011 or whenever that was. So, um, yeah, I don't think there won't be very many, athletes like that have an influence like that guy did for me. So, um, currently the Flames are in a bit of a tougher state right now. So hopes for the future. A lot of young guys that I'm excited about. But yeah, lifelong Flames fan for sure.
So my first NHL team, very first word I could say was probably Gretzky, was just Wayne Gretzky. So when I was a kid, early 80s Oilers fan, hated Calgary. My parents' neighbor's son was a big Montreal Canadiens fan, and he kind of turned me into a Canadiens fan. Once again, 1989 Stanley Cup, Calgary, hate Calgary. Then I was a Vancouver Canuck fan, late 80s, early 90s, big rivalry, Vancouver and Calgary. I'm sorry, but I freaking hate Calgary. I hate the Stamps. I hate the Flames. I hate anything to do with Calgary. Anyways, I find out, I'm adopted. I find my bio mom. Where does she live? Calgary, right? So now I'm on the fence a little bit, but and actually
It'll charm you.
Right, one of our first actual hockey podcast was with Theo Fleury, actually, and it was a great show. So I don't want to kick around Calgary too much, but yeah, that's my feelings about Calgary. So
I mean, my problem is I spend way too much money at Flames games. Is my problem. My buddy and I, we have the process down. We get there like an hour early when they have the happy hour $5 beers, and you go and you get two each, and you put them under the seat, and you go back and you get the process, and then you're set for the rest of the game, spending a quarter of what you actually would have if you came on time. So yeah, that's my issue.
Yeah.
I have to go to a hockey game. I can't believe I was up there for 11 seasons and never attended a hockey game.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's the atmosphere. It's crazy.
No, I've heard.
Sorry, Dante, that's what we got to do when you come up here for a Lions game. We'll just make sure it's in October. We'll go to a Lions game and a Canuck game. There you go.
I don't know if you'll get the good atmosphere at a Canucks game, though. I don't know how many fans are left, but
tis.
Yeah.
We actually left a Lions game at halftime because my girlfriend hadn't been to a Canuck game before. So we were at the Lions game, from noon. I left the Lions game at 2:30 and went to watch a Canuck game. It was a crazy experience, but yeah.
It's just a good time, man. And everybody here is super passionate about it, right? So like in 2019 when the Flames were in the playoffs, like I dropped a couple $100 with my buddy, and we went to game 1, and that was such a great experience. And then game 2, we were outside the dome in the parking lot with thousands of other fans watching it on the big screen. So it's kind of like our football, just the way that the fan base is built, and the whole vibe of the city changes come playoff time, right? So it's something that you can't really replicate here in Calgary. So
Logan, what are you up to when you're not playing football?
Over COVID, I've kind of turned into a bit of a gamer with the boys, just because there hasn't been much to do other than get online. But other than that, like we have a nice cabin up in Alberta here. I go surfing, wakeboarding, all that stuff. I love the water, so as much as I can do at 300 pounds. But yeah, no, I like to stay active as much as possible. That's the biggest thing.
So hobbies, obviously you sound like you like to work out. So is that a hobby of yours as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like, man, I'm, even if I'm in a deload week or in a week off or something, I'm gonna be, in the gym doing accessory work, stuff like that. Like, when you're in love with it, you can't get away from it. So, obviously, I'm super conscious of overtraining, and I kind of I've toyed with that line where you have so many workouts in a week, and it gets tough on the body, and you're not seeing that improvement. So it's really about taking care of myself at the end of the day.
Indeed.
Looking back at your career thus far, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, the rookie season at the U of C, man, I would have pushed for that starting spot a little bit, harder as that 18-year-old out of high school. That's something that I wish I could have, gotten the experience of is starting at right tackle that whole season. I mean, I got to play a couple games that year due to injury on the line and start a couple games at left tackle, but I really think I could have played a bigger role that year, and I kind of missed out on that opportunity. So,
yeah. Have you had any interest from any NFL teams?
Yeah, I mean, I just got out of my 2-week quarantine today because Nelson Lacombo and I were down in Washington for right before their rookie mini camp, and we had a tryout, and unfortunately we all shared a van with a guy from the States that tested positive for COVID, so they let us go without us stepping foot in the facility. So it was a bit of a tough one to swallow, but hopefully we're gonna keep working towards eventually maybe getting that opportunity again, right? So yeah, I mean, it was tough when it happened, and it's still tough, but it's a cutthroat business, right? So it's all about moving on and getting better.
Yeah, for sure. That is a tough pill to swallow. I mean, you're getting geared up for your workout with Washington, and you don't even get there, and that's got to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's we got a little taste of the NFL experience, right? We got flown down there, put up in the hotel, and you fill out the medical booklet, and you're up early in the morning, and they take you over to the facility, and for them to cancel it that day, it was a tough pill to swallow. So, and then we kind of had the day in Washington to waste, and it was it was a tough one for sure. But I mean, you can't linger on it too long. You got to kind of use it as a fuel to, have a better workout the next day or whatever, right? So,
yeah. So Nelson's brother Bo Baseco Lacombo is a friend of mine. He's been on the show before, and hopefully pretty quick here we're going to have both Baseco and Nelson on the same show together, which is going to be really good. So get that brotherly rivalry, so to speak, going on, right? So.
Yeah, that's gonna start up pretty soon, hey? That little brother on brother action, hey?
Yeah, I remember Bo telling me that one of his biggest dreams actually was to have Nelson and him play on the same team together. So it's unfortunate that didn't happen, but there's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
And they say that Nelson actually is a better player than his brother is. So
he's good. He's really good.
Yeah, he is good. Yeah,
he's gonna turn some heads, that's for sure.
Definitely. So what motivates you to play football?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's really a love for the game. Like, I just, I think having season tickets and watching the CFL from being a little kid, just seeing those guys out there and now having an opportunity to maybe be one of those guys out there, it's kind of, that drive in the back of my head, and it'll always be there, just kind of that passion for it and the realization, like, this could be a dream come true. So, I really think it's a passion for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just keep driving for your dreams, right? Just don't stop. Just
exactly. Yeah. You can't get complacent. You gotta always have that passion, deep rooted, and if things go your way, you gotta remember what got you there. So
yeah, exactly.
Hey, this is Logan Bandy. Thanks for listening to Inside the Lines podcast.